Hello, everybody. Welcome to Coffee Time with Byron. I am your host, Byron, live on YouTube at Coffee Time with Byron. Alongside me via StreamYard is former major leaguer Jeff Frye. Played from 91 to 2001, I believe. That's what I've got. Is that true? I'm hoping.
Well, and the major leagues from '92 to 2001.
Okay, so I was close. I
Yeah,
was close. But welcome. Thank you for being here on short notice. I appreciate it. It's been a long time coming, hasn't it?
yep, yep. Yeah, I can't remember when you reached out to me, but I'm glad we finally got together.
Definitely. Definitely. And I got to start off with, like, as we were talking about on air, I mean, off air, uh, the lockout. You were part of the first one. Now, as a player, I know you're not no more, but no, hearing about it as a former player, you gotta think, oh God, why is this happening again? Like, we should not be in this again. What is going on through your head as a former player because you went through it back in the '90s.
Yeah, I mean, these type of things happen when the deals are 4 and 5 years at a time. These agreements, and it's actually a pretty good system because it gives each side a chance to change some things or attempt to change some things that they don't like about the agreement. And in '94 when we had our work stoppage. That was 28 years ago. Wow.
Kind of hard to believe, isn't it?
Yeah, I had to get a job at a car dealership, but the minimum salary was 125,000. Now it's almost 600,000, and but players also weren't making $40 million a year like guys are now, and
Right.
um, I think it's in the best interest of the game to get this settled because I'm just not sure how sympathetic the fans are going to be this time around. That we don't have Mark McGuire and Sammy Sosa to rescue us. So hopefully something gets done. In my mind, I think something will happen around the 1st of March. That way they get 4 weeks of spring training, which is plenty enough time, and hopefully we'll have baseball.
I gotta ask you, since you brought that up, since you were right, you didn't have those. We don't have those kind of guys now. Is it also because baseball and Manfred don't know how to market the guys like they did in your era to get them out of that kind of lockout phase? I mean, yes, there is Tatis, Trout, Judge in them, but a lot of main players, key players, you don't know about that aren't marketed well. Do you think that could be why people aren't getting, might not, in your opinion, might not get turned back on to baseball after this?
I don't think baseball's ever done a really good job of marketing its players. You don't see many baseball players on commercials. You see Bryce Harper and Trout and maybe Mookie Betts, but other than that, you don't see it. It's not like the NBA where you see a lot, or the NFL. But I think what's more worrisome is that the game has become somewhat unentertaining. It's hard to watch, and
Mm-hmm.
so if you're having people having a hard time watching it anyway, and now you give them a reason to not want to watch because they're mad because the billionaires and the millionaires are fighting, and they're the ones who can't watch their favorite sport.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's what's in danger here, to losing those casual fans who are sick of um, these people not being able to get along.
So what can after that? What can then baseball do once we get out of this, the lockout phase? What can baseball do? Like you said, we had in your time, you had the home run hitters, which was they promoted. I know they didn't promote it, but they kind of did by not testing the steroid era, which unfortunately you'll live in that era, unfortunately. But what can baseball do to get fans to watch again, knowing that, like you said, a lot of fans will be upset?
I think they have to. There's a couple things. I think that the way the game has turned, where it's become so analytical now that there's just not much action on the baseball field. It's like 2.5 home runs a game, and a game's 3 hours. So
Mm-hmm.
it's less than a home run an hour, and in between you see a lot of walks and a lot of strikeouts and a lot of nothing happening.
Right.
And I think that we have to get back to playing more situational baseball, hitting and running and stealing bases and bunting and the exciting squeeze plays, and the rally was exciting. Now you just don't see rallies, and it's just like
Right.
guys are swinging for homers and hopes that they hit a couple a game, and that's how they're going to score their runs.
Now, whose fault do you think that is? Is it because the owners are hiring people to do this? What do you think is the problem in that? Why we don't see small ball anymore?
Yeah, I think there's been an influx of analytics people brought into organizations and in front offices that are crunching their numbers and saying this is the best way to score runs, and if we score this many runs we're going to win games, and so let's not attempt steals because stolen bases are a risky proposition. 25% of the time you're going to get thrown out, and I think we need to bring some baseball people back into the game that actually know how to play the game and teach the game. And I think it's trending toward that. I've seen a lot of former players get hired as coaches, especially the Anaheim Angels hired 3 former big leaguers on their coaching staff, and I think that's a great thing. I think it's going to get back to that because bottom line is if they don't have people watching the game, the TV deals are going to go down,
Right.
and attendance is going to go down, and in 10 to 15 years, who knows what's going to happen to baseball.
Well, when speaking of that, with the TV revenue, when you guys had it, the first lockout, do you remember what the TV revenue was for you guys? Were you guys getting a piece of that, or what went on in that negotiation with you? Because I know you guys were on for the playoffs. I believe it was. I may have been 4, but I remember this. You guys were on NBC and ABC, and nowadays you guys aren't even nowadays. Baseball isn't even on that. Yes, it's on ESPN, but it's not the same like it was in the 90s when you had the major hitters like CBS, NBC, and ABC all having your game. Like, what happened?
Well, now they have ESPN, MLB Network, and they have Fox, and and sometimes some other channels, Nickelodeon even sometimes. But I know the deals are big. We never saw any part of that money back then. There just wasn't. I don't think the deals weren't like they are today. And if you look at the 3 major sports, the NFL is negotiating, like a $200 billion TV deal. The NBA is like 75 million, and Major League Baseball is like 6. I mean, this is 75 billion. NFL's 200 billion, and Major League Baseball is like 16 billion.
Mm-hmm.
So we're not even in the same stratosphere as these other guys when it comes to watching.
Very true. So you played college ball at Southeastern Oklahoma State, which is what, a Division III school or 2 school?
NAIA when I was there, but now it's a D2.
What was that experience like? Did you get scouted? How'd you get scouted? Because I know those lower division schools hardly, unless you're very good, you don't get scouted pretty much. So how was it that you got scouted?
I didn't. I didn't get scouted.
Really?
No. I actually finished my senior year and thought I was over. My career was done, and my teammate Benny Culver was a junior.
Mm-hmm.
He got invited to a Texas Rangers tryout camp that he didn't want to go to because he was pretty sure he was going to get drafted by the Cincinnati Reds. And so I asked him if I could have his invitation. I went in his place.
There you go. Hey, must know to have friends, right?
Yeah.
And all is said. Look what happened. You ended up getting it. You signed with them.
Yeah, I had a great day and ended up, drafted me in the 30th round, and I played for 15 years.
So it looks like, from what I'm seeing, you were 5'9". That's small for a ball player. Heck, I would have been even smaller than you if I was in the majors. But you don't see that often where a player is under 6 foot, except for Altuve. That's the only one I know. And you were 165 pounds. I know in that era when you played, it was all definitely steroid all up. Did you feel the pressure of having to do that, or Did you was like, oh no, I better just stick to what I am, 165, 5'9", I can make it, I can do this. What was
Yeah.
your mindset?
Well, when I was in A-ball, I had a coach ask me if I ever considered using steroids.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I said, no, why? He goes, well, I don't think you'll ever be big enough to play in the major leagues.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't really know anything. This is 1989. I didn't know much about steroids.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I'd heard rumors that some NFL guys were using them. Lyle Alzado supposedly died with a
Mm-hmm.
30-pound liver from using steroids.
Mm-hmm.
And, I was pretty certain that some of the professional wrestlers were using steroids.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, but I said, no, man, if I'm not big enough, I'm not big enough. And I didn't know what the couple things. I didn't know what the side effects would be.
Mm-hmm.
And so that was scary to me. And also, I felt like it was against the rules. Now, it wasn't officially against the rules in the major leagues. He wasn't in the. We didn't have a drug policy when I came up, but I know it was against the rules in society to do steroids. They were illegal, so I didn't want to do that, and I felt like it would have been cheating if I'd done that. So I don't have any regrets.
There you go. I don't blame you on that. Like you said, you were drafted by the Rangers in the 30th round of the 88 draft. Uh, did you think you were going to go where you were at, or did you think you were going to go at least a little bit higher? Because I know back then there was a lot more rounds than what there is today. But did you know you were actually going to be drafted that high, or no, sorry, that low in the draft?
No,
I
I was just happy to get drafted. I had no idea. I'd never talked to a scout or anybody except when I went to the tryout camp. It's a lot different. It was a lot different then than it is now,
That is
obviously.
true. Obviously,
Um,
yeah.
but no scouts were calling me or beating down my door. I was just happy when they said I was drafted.
So you make your debut July 9th, 92 at Arlington Stadium. You remember who you faced, and it was a rout. Well, from what I'm seeing, it was a rout. You guys killed these guys. Do you remember who you faced?
Yeah, Scott Scudder was the starting pitcher for the Indians,
There you go.
and Nolan Ryan was pitching for us.
You remember what the score was? You guys
Like
routed them.
12-3 or something like that, I think.
Yep, 14-4.
Yeah, yeah.
You went 2 for 3 with a triple, a walk, and RBI, and 3 runs scored. That's a good debut.
Yeah, and it was all downhill after that. No.
What do you remember most about that? Did you have like goosebumps? I mean, take us through that experience of your first day in the majors, your first call up, and you get to play.
Yeah, I was nervous. First time I stepped in the box, my first at bat, I was shaking in my shoes. I was so nervous. I couldn't stop shaking, and I walked on 4 pitches that weren't even close, which was great.
Mm-hmm.
And it kind of calmed me down. I got on base and broke up a double play, and then it was just playing another baseball game. You know that I dreamed about my entire life of. Never even imagined that it was a possibility that I could play at that level, and here I am, dream come true. One of the best all-time greatest pitchers, and actually catcher too. Pudge was catching.
Yeah, he was. Yep.
Then I was surrounded by so many other great players. I mean,
You had a who's who of characters, Hall of Famers, soon to be Hall of Famers alongside you. Yeah, I
yeah.
mean,
So I was just trying to not mess up.
exactly. There you go. Now it says you were also a leadoff. You were a leadoff hitter. What was your mindset being as a leadoff hitter? Is it different than anywhere else in the lineup? How is it as a mindset going as knowing that you're a leadoff hitter?
Well, it's really only different your first at bat. Um, once the game starts, you're not the leadoff hitter anymore. You're just at the top of the lineup. And your
True.
first at bat, my job as a leadoff hitter was to see a lot of pitches, work the count, and try to get on base any way possible to set the table for the big boppers behind me. And I didn't. Very rarely would I swing at a first pitch because I always felt like if I go up there and hit the first pitch and smoke a line drive out, I didn't do my job. My job is to get on base. I'd
Mm,
rather get hit by a pitch, draw a walk, get on by an error,
right.
um, than hit the ball hard and make an out. So my goal was to get on base, and that's what I tried to do.
So in on July 24th, which is my birthday, by the way, I was only a year old. You hit your first home run off Baltimore Orioles pitcher Arthur Rhodes at Camden Yards. Take us through that at bat. What do you remember about that at bat, and what you hit? What'd you hit off of him?
Yeah, I remember that. It was a Saturday day game, and we were like the game of the. There's two games on that day. Back
Mm-hmm,
in those days, they wouldn't. They'd have like 2 days a week where they televised baseball games, and
mm-hmm,
Saturday was one of the days, and they would have by region they'd have one game on and then another game. And our game wasn't the game that was actually on,
mm-hmm,
but they switched over because I led off the game with a home run off of Arthur, who's a good friend of mine. But I remember it was a fastball, about 96, and I hit it really well. And the next time he threw me a curveball and I hit a double, and then the third time he tried to hit me. but, but I remember it because Camden was, brand new, and um, it was such a cool place, and they had Palmero, they had Cal Ripken
Al
Jr.,
Ripken,
they had
yeah,
studs. I don't know if they had Palmero. They had, I think, Eddie Murray,
they did. Yep,
Alomar. I mean, they had B.J. Surhoff. They had some great players.
yep. So after that, unfortunately, then the year happened. The end of the year happens, and unfortunately, you missed the '93 season due to injury. What was it that you had? It's not telling me here what you had, but what did you have that made you miss the whole year? Was it like Tommy John something?
No, I
What
tore
did you
my
have?
ACL. I tore a ligament in my knee
Mm-hmm.
in the off season playing basketball,
Mm-hmm.
and we used to play basketball. That was our cardio, and I would play with a bunch of my teammates like Kenny Rogers and Darren Oliver and Rick Helling. We'd play basketball at the local gym, and
Mm-hmm.
these guys got ticked off because we were kicking their butt, and this guy took me out, and I came down funny on my knee, and it popped. And went home that night, put some ice on it. Was terrified of what I had done, and went to the doctor the next day. I lied to the Rangers and told them that I was jogging at night and I stepped off the curb funny and twisted my knee, and that something popped. And I went to the team doctor, John Conway, the next day, and
Mm-hmm.
MRI, and I had a torn ACL, out for the season.
Ooh, ouch. So what did you have to do? How vigorous was the rehab for you to come back? How because did you want to have the opportunity to at least try to come back the rest of that year, or did you have to do the full year like everybody, like a typical ACL injury?
Well, when that happens, it's basically 6 months to a year before you're going to be back. And I mean, I was fortunate to have a great physical therapist, Marty Stadjuhar, that took me through all my training, and I mean all my rehab stuff. And it was hard work,
Mm-hmm.
very hard. But he pushed me, and I made it through. But it just it just takes so long to heal. It doesn't. It's nothing. There's nothing that you can do to speed up the process because your body has to heal from the inside out, and the graft that they put in there actually has to attach itself. So, yeah, it's not like I could just power through and be ready because the inside of my knee wouldn't be ready. But I did end up getting it toward the end of the year. Felt pretty good, and actually paid for my own way to go to instruction league, and then went and played winter ball in Venezuela.
How was playing ball in Venezuela? Is that like over here? Do they have different rules? Same rules? What's different over there than over here?
Oh, the showers are cold. No, I love playing Venezuela. I played 3 winters in Venezuela. I love the people. I mean, it's warm weather, tropical weather. Our hotel is overlooking the ocean, and I had a great time playing there. And the baseball was really good at that time. There was a lot of native Venezuelan guys in the big leagues who are studs. Galarraga, Vizquel, um, Maglio Ordonez, Ugueth Urbina. So many guys that were in the big leagues would go home and play in the winter in their home country.
So in 96, you are released by the Rangers on June 5th. And that same day, you get picked up by the Red Sox. You spent a couple years with the Red Sox. What do you remember about your time in the Red Sox? And how different of experience would you say it was to your first cup of coffee with the Rangers?
Um, oh, I loved playing in Boston. It was just a different animal. It was, it's such a storied franchise, and playing the same stadium as that Babe Ruth and Ted Williams played, same locker room, and I loved. I mean, I was there for 4 years and had some great teammates, Hall of Famers. That man, my time there was the best time of my career for sure.
Did you have any cup of coffee in the playoffs? Did you ever get to go there at all?
No, the one year I was that we made the playoffs that I was there, I got injured during the season, had to have surgery, and was actually ready to play, but kind of a disagreement with the general manager, and he ended up not putting me on the playoff roster. The only chance I had.
Now, tell me about this, because this was towards the end of your career. I'm pretty much you became a bench player for once the Red Sox signed Jose Offerman. So, did you know that was kind of towards the it that was going to be it for your career, pretty much when you were told you were going to be a bench player?
No, and I wasn't told. I missed the year before with a knee injury, my second ACL, and
Mm-hmm.
they signed Offerman in the offseason. So when I came back the next year, I was still under contract, so I knew they were going to have to try and get something out of me. And Jimmy Williams, the manager, really liked me and liked me in the lineup and asked me if I could play different positions. And that's when I started moving all over the field. Before that I was primarily a second baseman, but I ended up playing everywhere but pitcher and catcher for the Red Sox that year.
Now, tell me about this trade after you leave the Red Sox, July 27th, 2000. You were traded to the Rockies, but I don't remember any of these names. Were these guys even big names? Like it seemed like a big deal. It was you. It looked like it was you and a couple others in exchange for looks like Rolando Royal, Rick Crushore, and Mike Lansing.
Mm-hmm.
I've never even heard of any of those guys. Well, I mean that trade is like out of the blue. Like I kind of do remember like that year when it happened, but it was like, who are these players? I never even heard of these players. Like, did you kind of knew like it kind of like I don't know. Take us through that when you found out you were getting traded for pretty much nobodies. I don't know them.
Well, actually, Mike Lansing was a starting second baseman for the Rockies, pretty good player, and Arroyo was a number one or number two starter for the Rockies. Cuban guy he was really good actually. Brian Rose was a young upcoming guy with the Red Sox. John Wasden was like a starter, middle reliever guy, and the Crochure guy. He was, I believe, a relief pitcher as well. And the reason I was included was because I ripped the general manager in the
Yeah,
Boston
you were
Globe.
saying that.
Yeah, so he wanted me out of town, so he he made that trade, and I'm pretty sure the manager didn't want me traded, but
He sent you to like one of the worst teams in baseball at that time.
yeah, and I mean, I was fortunate to get to go play with Todd Helton and Larry Walker and Jeff Cirillo and Jeffrey Hammond. So we had some guys that could really hit over there, but we weren't really in contention.
Yeah, how I gotta ask you, how is it hitting in Coolers Field? Because they always say I always hear the elevation is different on the ball or the humidor or whatever they call it up there. It's much difficult to hit because it's pitcher's hell basically. So how is it hitting there at Coolers Field?
Well, it's definitely an advantage. For me, it was not so much that the ball carried farther because I wasn't a power hitter. It was more that the outfield was so big that there's a lot of holes out there, and
Mhm.
so the ball doesn't spin in course. It's a mile high. It doesn't spin like it does at sea level, so the breaking balls aren't as tough. Um, and you see the numbers over the years. That was before the humidor, so we didn't have the humidor. I really can't tell you exactly what having the humidor has done, but I know it seems like a lot of Rockies guys still hit pretty well. So
Seems like it. They don't seem to have a problem.
mhm.
So then on December 11th of 2000, you sign a free agent deal with the Blue Jays. You play at the Sky Dome and all that. What was playing in a Sky Dome? Was that different compared to any other stadium you played in? I mean, because it's pretty much a dome, unless they keep it open. I don't know if at that time they had an open or retractable dome or whatever. But how is it different compared to playing outside?
Well, we played outside when it was nice weather outside, but Canada gets pretty cold, so it was nice having that dome on the cold days. But I mean, it was a great place to play, great place to hit, great city. Um, we weren't very competitive. We had once again, we had a great offensive team and not much pitching. But we were in first place after like 2 months of the season. Just kind of fizzled out. But I mean, I enjoyed the year that I was there. I made a lot of good friends.
Yeah, and you also made history. I'm seeing August 17th, 2001. You become the second Blue Jay ever to hit for the cycle. Did you know that when you actually hit for the cycle that year?
No,
Did
I
you
had no
know?
idea.
You
Well,
have any idea?
they showed it on the scoreboard after I did it, but going up to it, I had no idea.
Do
Yeah.
you know who was the first one?
Oh yeah, Kelly Gruber. He was there that day. He came on the field.
There you go. Yeah, yes, yeah. So, yeah, that's quite an accomplishment, and so that year you make your final at bat September 20th of '01. You get your pinch hitter for Darren Fletcher in the eighth inning of a 12-6 loss. What do you remember about your last at bat?
Nothing. I really don't. I really don't. That
Did
was
you know it was going to be your last at bat? Did you know you were retiring after that?
no. I didn't want to. I played one more year after that in the minor leagues, but you never, I think, want it to end. I could see that my body was kind of wearing out on me, and um, I tried it. I played the next year in the minor leagues in AAA the whole year and did pretty well, but never got called back up again.
So, do you happen to have that one besides your first home run? Do you have that welcome to the big league moment in any of the teams you played for?
What do you mean? I don't understand your question.
Like what? Like when you knew you actually made it? Like you actually made it to the big leagues? Like you're actually there? What's that one moment besides your first home run ball?
Oh, when I was playing for the Rangers, I believe in 1994, we came back from a road trip and I was feeling pretty confident. I was hitting like 327 or something like that, and really feeling good. And we took the field, and they played this song by Thin Lizzy, "The Boys Are Back in Town," and I'll never forget it. And I was like, ran it on the field. I was like, I'm freaking starting second baseman for the Texas Rangers in the big leagues, hitting like 330, and and they played this song, "The Boys Are Back in Town," and I got chills. I was like, man, this is really happening.
Did you ever have a chance to make it to an All Star or ever invited to one or a
No,
home run derby?
in '94, um, around the All Star break, we played the Yankees, and Buck Showalter was manager of the Yankees, and he told me during batting practice by the cage, he goes, I just want you to know that I considered you for the All-Star team. He goes, but because I'd started the year in AAA because of my injury from the year before, I
Mhm,
didn't have that many at bats,
mhm.
even though I was hitting really well. Um, my numbers, I probably had half as many at bats as the other guys by that point in the season. But just the fact that he told me that he considered me for that was pretty cool.
What about home run derby? Were you ever considered for any of those?
Oh no, no. But when they had the All Star game in Fenway Park, and I think it was '98, they talked about having two non-home run hitters have a little contest. They talked about me and Darren Bragg, which he had a lot more power than I did, but they talked about us having a little home run derby before the actual home run derby, but they didn't end up following through on that.
That would have been something to see. You guys could go at it, huh? To see who would hit the home run first.
Yeah, and I mean, I would have the advantage based on Fenway Park being a right-handed hitter,
That's true. Yeah,
because right field is so much further than left field. But
yeah.
Braggy was a little bit. We're about the same height, but he's more of a stocky guy, stronger, and he had more power. But I could hit some home runs in BP and Fenway when I had my favorite batting practice pitcher, Mo Maloney, throwing me lefty. I could hit some homers in BP.
So, who did you learn from the most while you were called up with the Rangers and you were young? Who would you say was your on that team that helped you along the way to get you to where you to help you throughout later on in your career?
Quite a few guys. I would say Gino Petralli was very instrumental. Um, um, Jeff Hewson helped me very much. But just all the guys, all the older guys, just kind of took you under their wing and taught you stuff. And um, Will Clark helped me a lot. Ruben Sierra, those guys are just and that's really the way it's supposed to be. These guys are the veteran guys, and they're gonna teach us and show us the ropes and teach us how to be a professional.
Mm,
Because how are we supposed to know? We just got there.
right,
And so when you have guys that you respect teaching you and telling you things to do and how to carry yourself and what to do and what not to do, I mean, you're a fool not to listen.
right. And towards the end of your career, who did you teach along the way? Did you help anybody out?
Yeah, I believe I did. Um, a lot of guys in Toronto, Bob Fowle, Chris Woodward, Louis Lopez, Cesar Izturis, Felipe Lopez, Brian Simmons, a lot of the young guys that were position players, and I was the veteran guy, and I called them my regulators, and I'd like, all right, regulators, you ready to go out? And I just kind of took them under the wing, on my wing, and kind of taught them what to do, off the field as well. And Ben Petrick in Colorado was another guy, and Adam Melhuse. Just I treated those guys with respect, but that I wanted them to understand that they had to pay their dues and they had to fall in line, and if they did, they would be accepted by the other veteran players. And I think it worked out pretty well.
So I gotta ask you now, with Joe West retiring, I have to bring this up. Did you have any history with Joe West? Did he ever throw you out of a game? Did you ever argue with him? Well, what was he like with you as an umpire?
Yeah, I don't really remember having any disagreements with Joe West. Honestly, I had a lot of disagreements with other umpires, but if they had a good strike zone and they called you out when you were out and safe when you were safe, I didn't really have much of an issue. But there were a few, but I really don't recall one time where I had a problem with Joe West.
So do you recall a game and who was the umpire that you got thrown out?
I don't know that I ever was thrown out of a game. I have really funny story about an umpire.
Go
Um,
ahead, share it.
Jim McKeon was the home plate umpire one day when we're playing the Angels in Fenway Park, and there's a pitcher named Sean Bosky pitching. He was pretty good. He had good stuff, good control, and
Mhm.
he throws a pitch outside that I thought was outside off the plate, and he called it a strike, and I didn't say much. And then he threw another pitch that was inside that I also thought was off the plate, and he called that a strike. And I'm like, damn, this guy's got a huge strike zone. I turned around and I said, you can't give him inside and outside. He's not Cy Young. He goes, well, you're not Babe Ruth either. And I started laughing, and I was just kind of looked at him. I thought that was a great line, and I don't even remember what happened the rest of the at bat. But from then on, every time he was behind the plate, they would walk through the tunnel of our dugout, and we'd see him standing in the dugout. And I'd go, hey, Jim Rice. Jim Rice, our hitting coach, was like, look who's umpiring, Jim McKeon. And Jim Rice would go, hey, Jim, I got Babe Ruth down here. And he actually said that he wrote Babe Ruth on his scorecard whenever I was in the lineup. So that was pretty funny.
That's crazy. So, like you said, you got to play with the who's who of Hall of Famers, soon to be Hall of Famers. Did you have a chance to let's say hold on. Sorry. Lost my train of thought.
That's all right.
Never mind. Scratch that question. So now, well, once my train of thought comes back, we'll get to that. But I want to ask you now, the Savior game. What is that about, and what do you want to get off your chest on that about?
Well, Save the Game is a national movement that I'm part of with Kevin Gallagher and Pat Geegan, and we are trying to draw attention to people that change has to happen in the game, that we have to get back to playing the game the way we used to play it, where it was more entertaining, like I talked about earlier, more action and things like that. And because we're worried that the fan base is dwindling and that people are going to go away and not come back, and Major League Baseball is going to have a huge problem about 10 to 15 years when they're losing their customer base, and TV revenue is not going to be there, and attendance is not going to be there. So we are trying to get 1 million or more digital signatures to bring it to, we're not trying to fight with Major League Baseball. We want to partner with them and try to talk to them about what needs to be done to get the fans more engaged in the game. And, I think we're on to something. I think that there are real issues in the game. We have a lot of facts to prove that, the attendance is going down and TV revenue viewership is going down. And it's just, there's so many other options for people to watch now, with Netflix and Amazon and things. It's like, watch a boring baseball game where nothing happens, or, 3 episodes of Ozark,
Right.
right? Or Yellowstone or something. And
Yeah.
so I think that especially kids have so many other options, and the kids are the ones that they're going to be the baseball fans that are going to be buying tickets in 10 to 15 years. And if they're not interested, then who's going to be buying the tickets? The average age of a fan is 57 years old. Well, in about 15 to 20 years, all those people are going to be gone, and then who's going to be the fans?
Very true. Yeah. Right. So do you know how far you've gone along in it so far? How many have signed it?
No, I don't know yet. It just kind of got started. We got a publicist that's helping us, and then we've got all kinds of podcasts and radio shows set up. So, we'll see what happens.
There you go. And now tell us about what you're doing nowadays too. Your other job that you want to talk about as well. What's that about?
Well, I met a guy about a year ago named Paulo De Prima. He's an Italian guy who has a company in Texas called Rotor Systems USA. He makes a rotor. He's making batting tees. He has also a bat rack And
Mhm.
through my social media stuff, he saw me and brought me in and wanted me to help him promote his products. We've become friends. He's a great guy, and it's just something I'm very excited about. Our batting tee is unbelievable. It's made out of a composite material, the same material made it they use in Mercedes Benz and BMW engines. It's very strong, very difficult to break, and the tees are made in a factory in Italy by Paulo's dad, who's 84 years old.
Mhm.
And you know, I've seen the videos of the factory and how many of these things they're making, and we're going to ship them over here to the United States, and I think it's going to be we have a chance to make a huge impact in the baseball hitting tool industry.
I hope so. Sounds like a good plan. I hope you do. So now I also got to get to, as a fellow podcaster, I know you said you don't do it anymore, which sucks because I really enjoy your listening to your podcast. The Shigon Nation. Tell everybody about that. Uh, and actually, from what I see from your Twitter as well, it's like hitting as well, hitting practices as well. You do that as well. So tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, well, the Shigon Nation started. Made a video about 2 years ago that of something I saw on social media. I'm on a group text with some scout friends of mine, and we kind of laugh at some of the stuff we see, the training stuff being taught to kids. And so I made a video imitating one of these things I saw. And man, I got a lot of backlash from people and some very hateful stuff, saying mean stuff about my kids and me and calling me names. And I was like, who are these people? You know, I didn't really understand what was going on this social
Mhm.
media as far as the hitting Twitter stuff. I had no idea.
Mhm.
So all I did was piss me off, and so I had to make another video, and that one had over 100,000 views, and then it's kind of gone crazy since then. My One of my buddies goes, "You should hashtag she gone." Well, let me backtrack. So at the end of my second video, I hit the ball and I said she gone, and I really just goofing around and didn't think anything of it. And he goes, "You should hashtag she gone." I was like, "Okay, great idea." I was like, "What does that mean?" I don't know what that means to hashtag something. So I did it, and since then I've probably made 200 videos. I made two more today, actually, three today.
There you
Uh,
go.
and it's finally warm enough here in Texas to go outside. And I made three videos today, and it's basically to I'm trying to inform parents that some of these people they're taking their kids to aren't qualified instructors, and that a lot of the drills and things that they're doing in their hour-long lesson are not going to help their kids be better baseball players. And it's really grown. When my first video, I think I had 600 followers on Twitter, and I was not active on Twitter whatsoever.
No, I know you weren't for the longest time there. That's like when we first connected. I think you were first starting out with it or something.
Yeah, I had a Twitter account since like 2012, I think, but
Yeah.
I never used it. And a friend of mine, Billy Martin Jr., um, said, "You should get on Twitter." I was like, "Why? I don't want to do that." And barely did any social media. And I was like, "All right, check it out." And then when I did those videos and put them on Twitter and it went crazy, I'm like, "Oh my goodness." And then now I've got like over 14,000 followers on Twitter, and I'm on Instagram and Facebook and LinkedIn, and I don't know, man. It's crazy. I'm too old to be on all the social media stuff, but I'm trying to help people. I'm trying to help
I know you
parents,
are. That's the whole point. You're
because
trying to.
I think they're hurting kids' development and teaching kids to hit home runs when they're not capable, and they're just gonna have a lot of failure, and they're not gonna want to play because it's no fun to fail all the time.
So yeah, because I remember when you first when we I think when we first connected. Yeah, you only had like a couple videos on there. And is that what also gave you the inspiration for the podcast as well, or who told you to start the podcast?
Yeah, my friend John Moore, who had the Rangers Nation podcast, I'd been on his show, and he goes, "Man, you should start a podcast. I'll help you." And I was like, "All right." I mean, I think this is during COVID, and they didn't have a lot of stuff to do. And so I was like, "Yeah, I'll start a podcast. I know I have a lot of friends in the game, and I could get some pretty cool guys on there."
Which you
Um,
did.
and man, it was fun. but it's like so much work trying to get somebody
Yes.
and our schedules align with John's schedule and my schedule and his schedule and um, I don't know. I might get back to doing it, but it just seemed like it was taking up so much of my time, um, and I really did enjoy it. But it's a lot of work doing a podcast.
No, you're right. It is. As I've told you. Yeah, it really is. So after your playing career, you begin your work as an agent. You represent players like Darren Oliver, who's your friend, and Ian Kinsler, who also I think will be a Hall of Famer down the line. Just like Darren Oliver, I think he will be too eventually. Uh, how'd you want to get into that instead of being like a scout or whatnot, or an announcer or a coach? How'd that come about that you just wanted to be an agent?
I didn't want to be. I just the opportunity presented itself, and I didn't. I didn't want to leave. I'd been gone for 15 years in a row, and I didn't want to leave and ride buses and scout opportunity to scout. And I asked one of the guys who asked me, Thad Levine's the GM right now of the Twins. He was assistant GM of the Rangers. Or maybe the Rockies at the time, and asked me if I wanted to be a scout. And I said, I don't know, maybe. I was like, how many days a week am I gonna have to be at a baseball field? And he goes, probably 6. And I said, no chance. No chance. I'm not doing that. I've been gone for 15 years. I want to see my kids grow up. I want to coach their teams. Um, and be around. And so and then the opportunity came up for me to be an agent with a friend, and we kind of started from scratch. And, I've been doing it for 20 years, and I don't really know how much longer I'll do it. I don't really enjoy it as much as I used to, going out and chasing players, and having to deal with parents that think their kids are better than they are. And so it's very cutthroat, and I'm a pretty honest guy, and I'm a very honest guy, and I'm not the type of guy to go out and steal other people's players, which what happens a lot in this industry.
Oh yeah, I truly believe that. Do you have any? Do you have any right now that are currently playing? Do you have any signed to your agency?
Yeah, but I really want to talk about it. I don't want to name names and give
No,
people.
I don't want to know names. I just want to know like how.
Yeah, I have some players, but I don't want people to target my guys because they don't like me, because that's what they do. It's pretty sad.
Yeah, it's a cutthroat business.
Oh yeah, they'll act like they're your friend, and then they'll walk back to their hotel room and call your client's room. It's pretty bad.
It is. It is. So now I gotta ask you about your teams that you played for. The Rangers. What do they need to do? Your first team, the Rangers. I know they're in total rebuild. What does it need for them to get back into the playoffs?
Well, I think they've already made some pretty big moves with Corey Seager and Marcus Semien. So I think offense is not going to be a problem. I think we just have to get some more pitching and let some of the younger players develop. They were a pretty young team.
Okay, and now your second team, which is the Red Sox. What do they need to do to get over that hump to get back to the World Series and win it? Because they were close last year, but the Astros just took them down in the ALCS.
Yeah, starting pitching was a problem for the Red Sox, I believe. And I don't really follow them as closely as I do the Rangers because I live here. I think, starting pitching, maybe a little more offense. I think that's probably you could say that about every team, that didn't make it. They need better pitching, more offense, and better defense. Wow.
I guess that leads me to my next team too that you play for, the Toronto Blue Jays. Obviously, they got the hitting. It's just what they got to do the pitching now. Would you say?
Yeah. They have some of the best young players in the game, but they need pitching.
The Suns, you got Vlad Jr., Bochette, Biggio. They're the only roster that I can think of that has former players' kids on them. All like at least 5 or 6. I think Conine's kid is somewhat in the organization too with them still. So, and he'll be on his way up. So that you got the talent. What can they do with it?
Yeah. Got to get a couple starting pitchers, man. Maybe a good couple bullpen guys, and I mean it was great for baseball when the Blue Jays were a powerhouse, man.
It was in those early 90s.
Yeah, they had around 4 million fans.
Yeah. Filled up that stadium, filled up the Sky Dome. You don't even, well, actually, you can see that. You still sort of see that. I mean, when they first came up, they were making the playoffs here and there. You still see it filled up, but not. It wasn't as much as what it was in the 90s when they
No,
were
for
making
sure.
the World Series. So now your other team, the Rockies, they're in total rebuild mode. What are they going to do with Story? Are they going to keep him, trade him? What are they going to do? Because he's the only piece left, main piece that they have not shipped out yet.
Yeah, I think he's. I mean, isn't he not a free? I think he's a free agent. I don't think they have the rights over him anymore.
Oh,
I believe
really?
he's
He's
a
now a
free
free
agent.
agent?
So he's going to sign. I mean, who knows? He's one of the top shortstops in the game, so somebody's going to sign. I know the Yankees were talking about him, but I think they're maybe wanting him to change positions, which I think is crazy. He's one of the top defensive shortstops in baseball.
Why change?
If
Yeah.
he doesn't want to change positions, I don't blame him.
Yeah. Why change? Exactly. But what is it? Pitching, hitting? What? Because I don't know what it is with the Rockies. They haven't been relevant since. Because I mean, I know that division's tough. Because you got my Padres, you got the Giants, who were a surprise last year, and then of course you got the Dodgers, who spend for everybody basically.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, and of course the Diamondbacks, and I'm not going to go there with them. They're horrible. But I know what do they honestly have to do? I mean, what do they have to do? Draft better? What? I don't get it. What is it with them that they got to do to get there?
Great. That's the $1 million question, man. You trade Arenado, a guy like that, away, and then and he was pretty disgruntled when he left there. So
Yeah, he didn't want to go.
they're not. I don't know. I don't know. I mean, if they lose, which at one point was possibly the best left side of the infield in baseball,
Yeah,
and now they're not going to have either one of those guys.
I
So
don't want.
somebody's not doing something right.
No, no, I agree with
They
you.
just can't afford. They can't afford to spend like a lot of these other teams.
No, no, they can't. So now I got to ask you about the Hall of Fame. What is your take on? I know you guys didn't test for steroids back then. Do you think the guys that have come clean about doing steroids and were accused of it, do you think they should be allowed in the Hall of Fame? Do you feel that it was right that they didn't get enough votes? How do you feel as a former player?
Yeah, I don't think they deserve to be in. I mean, if they're going to let them in, there should be a separate wing or an asterisk. Um, a guy like me, we talked about steroids earlier. That I was undersized already,
Yeah.
and I didn't use steroids, and I had to compete against guys who were bigger and stronger to begin with, and on steroids. So it wasn't a fair playing field, and the way I look at it is once you decide to do that, you're choosing fame and fortune. Okay, that was your choice. You decided to cheat the game and cheat the competition, and a lot of you benefited in a big way financially and stardom, and that's what you got. And when you did that, unfortunately, you forfeited your opportunity to go in the Hall of Fame.
And what about the one who probably won't get in until he's dead, Pete Rose? Do you think that was fair? That he's not being allowed in?
No, I don't. I don't. I think Pete Rose belongs in the Hall of Fame. And if you want to put some side note that this guy was, caught cheating on baseball or whatever, and that way we can get Shoeless Joe Jackson in there too. The Hall of Fame is a museum. I understand people think that, it's for the best players to ever play this game, and I agree to a certain extent. Okay, and I don't think you can put Barry Bonds in the Hall of Fame next to Hank Aaron.
No, I agree with you on that.
Because they didn't do the things that he did to get there. Now, if you want to put him in a separate wing,
I agree.
And explain it all, and this is the steroid wing or whatever, fine, but I just don't think. I think it's going to diminish the value of the Hall of Fame if we just start letting everybody in. I mean, and then eventually they're going to. If they let A-Rod in, then I'm out. you know,
Very true. Very
got
true.
$500 million playing baseball and got caught cheating on, 2 times,
Numerous times. Yeah.
over 2 years for suspensions, and we're gonna put this guy in the Hall of Fame too.
I hate to say it, but I think he will. With everything, he's back in the God's graces of baseball. Now he's everywhere. He's like now the ambassador. Basically, it feels like he's everywhere.
That's an embarrassment too. I
Yeah.
think that's an embarrassment. That here's a guy who nobody in the game has ever been suspended for more than him for cheating, and yet he's on a major network doing baseball games.
I know I couldn't agree with you more. I never liked the dude, and he shouldn't. Yeah, exactly. I agree. No matter how much you're in God graces, you apologize, whatever. You still cheated the game. You should not be on the network, but whatever. That's on them. They chose that route, but that's them. Just to make money, I guess. Right? What can you say?
Right.
Now what about Big Poppy? He got in. I think that was first time on the ballot. I think he that was well deserved. He unanimous. I know he was accused of at one point in time of doing it, but I don't think he ever did it. But I think it was fair that he got in. Did you like him getting in?
Yes, I did. I think he's definitely a Hall of Fame player, and the circumstances around his positive test were unusual.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
And who knows for sure really what happened, but what I heard was, or what from my understanding is, Major League Baseball realized they had a steroid problem. They wanted to test the whole league and see what percentage of players tested positive to see if they needed to implement a steroid policy. Okay. They tested everybody, 120 something people tested positive.
Mm-hmm.
So they knew that they had enough people that they didn't have to do any extra testing. Well, Poppy supposedly was one of the players that was positive.
Mm-hmm.
There were some questions about his positive test. Was it from a tainted supplement from a store, or, GNC or something like that? And so because they already had their numbers, they didn't need to go back and spend more money and find out exactly what he tested positive for, because it was understood that these results were never going to be made public. That was the only way the players agreed to do the test.
Yep.
Test you, but the results will never be made public. So then, years later, when the Mitchell report comes out and these results are made public, how can you then go back and say, "Oh, wait, you tested positive"? That's BS. It's not supposed to be made. It didn't exist because it's not supposed to be made public, and that was the understanding, and they breached that. And then now all of a sudden he's tainted for the rest of his life. We don't even know the facts.
Right. Now, do you agree with like I do that when that whole thing was going on, the whole Balco, the whole Mitchell report scandal, when that went to Congress, do you think that hurt the game and was embarrassment to the game as much as I do since you played it? Like, do you think that was an embarrassment and all that to the game? It made people want to turn it off at that point in time.
Which perfect game you talking about?
No, when the whole Balco scandal and the whole Mitchell report scandal went to Congress.
Yeah.
Do you think that was an embarrassment to the game when that happened and made people turn off the viewership?
Yeah, I mean all those. I mean, baseball's always has some scandal going on. Seems like, I mean, last year we had the sticky stuff with the pitchers, and then
Yes.
like Garrett Cole looked like a deer in the headlights when they asked him if he ever used it, and it's like, no, I didn't use it, but all of a sudden your fastball's not doing what it did, and your breaking ball's not doing what it did, and it's like, okay, well, yeah, but I mean the Balco thing, I think it was good that it came out because everybody knew looking at some of these players that something wasn't right. You don't put on 30 pounds of muscle when you're 40 years old playing baseball.
You can kind of thank Jose Canseco for that because he was the one who threw everybody out on the bus that he played with.
Yeah, and he did. I don't blame him. I don't blame him. I love Jose. He's one of the best teammates I ever had. And if you look at the situation, okay, Jose was one of the first guys everybody thought about doing steroids, right? Then Mark McGwire.
Yep.
Okay. And now all of a sudden, Sammy Sosa and Mark McGwire are in this home run
chase.
And they're heroes. And both of them look like freaks, right? Their veins are popping out of their arms, right? And they're being glorified by everybody in baseball. And everybody knew they were on steroids. But Jose got blackballed from the game for using steroids. So how is that right?
Yeah, I know. I know.
So he's, and he had a lot of teammates over the years that he knew did steroids. He probably did them with him, right? And all those guys were getting off scot-free, yet Jose's getting thrown under the bus. So he probably, maybe the way he went about it wasn't exactly right. But, I mean, if you put yourself in his shoes, and here he is, dude was a superstar. Dude was like, the best player in the world at one point.
Just like I don't blame that one pitcher. Who was that pitcher? I can't think of his name. That I think he's still current. That pitched for the Astros, who flat out came out what they cheated on in 20.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I don't blame him either. But I mean, you're still a current player. I mean, do you want to be mistrusted in the locker room wherever you go now? I mean,
yeah, that was a little bit different scenario in my opinion because when he was on that team, he benefited from that.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, he benefited from it.
He left and then kind of threw him under the bus on his way out. You know what I mean? And so it's like, I mean, that was a bad situation all around. AJ Hinch didn't handle it right.
No.
He should have done more. I think he was just got caught up in the moments. Like, why are we going to change if we're doing so well? It's like here we are kicking everybody's butt, and now all of a sudden we have to fess up that we're doing something wrong and change it. And I think he had some people in his dugout, Alex Cora and Carlos Beltran, that probably had more say within the players than he did.
Exactly, yeah, because they were the ones that came out.
They were the ringleaders. They were the ones.
Yeah, ringleaders, yeah, and not Hinch. But Hinch knew about it, so he should have stopped it. He should have stopped it if he knew about it.
Oh, I'm sure he's going to regret that till the day he dies. But, it's tough. If you look at the situation, and I don't approve of what they did at all, I think that's terrible. That he got caught up in the moment and didn't.
Yeah, exactly.
You're having so much success, it's hard to say, okay, we're doing too well. Let's go back and not do this anymore. When they think nobody knows about it, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, and nobody probably would have ever known if that one pitcher didn't come out. Who happened to be on their team and didn't say anything while he was playing.
Now, do you think, like me too, that there's still something of that nature that will come out eventually, but is kind of under wraps now that some team is doing what they did that they got caught for? You still think that's going on in the game today?
Yeah, I think it probably is. But maybe they're just smarter about it. But we used to try and steal signs from the field.
Well, that's fair. I mean,
yeah, I think that's fair too.
Yeah, I have no issue with that. That's fair. If the pitcher is that dumb enough to allow the person at second, the runner, say you were at second, runner on second, and if that pitcher's dumb enough to give away his sign, and the catchers too, I mean, come on, then that's fair game.
Yeah.
But with technology, camera, whatever there is nowadays in the game, that's why I hate when the players use, the tablets in the dugouts. I don't think that's fair.
No, I think it's stupid too.
That's
they're not even watching the game.
No, they're not
watching the pitcher. They're not watching anything on the field. It's just they come in the dugout and all they care about was what's on this tablet what they did their last at bat, what this pitcher they're going to face throws. Is like, come on, man. This is like, there's too much technology in the game.
Exactly. And that's what led to all this cheating. Yep. That's what led to all the Astros, all, the Red Sox, and whoever else was involved in it to do this is that right there, the technology. So if Manfred would get off his stupid ass and do that and get rid of all the technology, which I don't think he will. That'll also help with that. That'll definitely help with not the cheating, won't you think? Getting rid of all that stupid technology in the dugout.
Yeah, for sure. They'll find another way, but
True.
I just think it's terrible that 5 guys are on the bench looking at their iPads when the game's going on the field.
When you did it the old school way by just looking at what the pitcher threw.
Yeah, I mean, you ask your teammate, what does this guy have?
Yeah.
Or if I wanted to go inside after I saw after I had an at bat, and I wonder if the umpire made a bad call, I would go upstairs and tell Billy Broadbent, our video guy from the Red Sox, I want to see that at bat, and he would have to pull out the VCR tape and rewind it and show me, and then rewind it again. It wasn't like, like they have today. So it was like, and I'll never forget Billy. I went up there one time. I was so mad, and I left the dugout, ran through the tunnel, through the clubhouse, and through the weight room to the very back of the weight room where they had like 3 or 4 TVs and VCRs, and I was good buddies with Billy, and I said, Billy, where was that pitch? That pitch wasn't a freaking strike, and this and that, and he goes, my nickname was Frito, so he's like, I don't know, Frito. It looks pretty close. And I said, listen here, Billy. I don't give a crap if you think it's a strike or not. If I come up here and ask you if it's ball or strike, and I want it to be a ball, you better frickin' say it's a ball. You understand me? He goes, yeah, I'm sorry, Frito. I'm sorry. We joked about that all the time. He knew I was messing with him, but yeah, I mean, when you get caught up in the moment like that, and you feel like you got screwed over, you don't want your video guy saying, "Oh no, that was a good pitch. You messed up." Especially when I might have 1 or 2 more at bats that game,
So I got at least 2 or 3 more questions before we wrap up. The first one is, we talked a little about the Hall of Fame. Is there any player that you played for and against that has not made it in the Hall of Fame yet that should be in the Hall of Fame?
Oh yeah, it's quite a few, I think. Fred McGriff should be in the Hall of Fame. Let me think. Who else? Probably Gary Sheffield.
I agree with that one.
I don't know if he has a positive test or not, but I know he's rumors about.
He had rumors, yeah.
Todd Helton.
He had rumors too, but I don't think he did it.
Helton? No way. No way.
He did at one point in time. He did, but I don't think he ever did it.
No, I don't either. He was my teammate, and I love that guy. I don't think he did it. If you'd have seen him, you wouldn't have. If you'd seen his body, he was in good shape, but he wasn't.
Oh, yeah, I saw him. Yeah, I saw him.
He wasn't jacked.
He was one of my favorite players, so yeah, he didn't do it.
He wasn't bulging out of his uniform like some of the guys.
Yeah.
I don't know. I know there's a lot of other ones I can't think right now.
What about Don Mattingly?
I don't know. I haven't looked at his overall numbers. I know he was a great player. But I don't know. I mean, if I saw a Hall of Fame ballot, Andrew Jones, I think, is a Hall of Fame.
Yeah, he should be. Yeah. I'm surprised he hasn't gotten in yet either.
Dale Murphy.
Yeah. I think Chipper Jones. I don't think he's in either, too.
He's in.
Yeah. Is he in?
Yeah.
I didn't think they voted him in yet. I didn't think so.
Yeah, okay. He's definitely in. But I know there's other ones that might get in on the Veterans Committee or something like that. But
yeah, what about second baseman though? Your position.
Oh, Carlos Delgado, by the way.
Oh, there you go. Can't forget about Vernon Wells. Vernon Wells
Yeah,
as well.
Vernon doesn't have Hall of Fame numbers, but Delgado's got like 449 home runs or something.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
I think Canseco is a Hall of Famer.
Yeah. Yeah, but I don't think he ever will be though because of this whole steroid thing. He won't be.
Well, if they start letting all these other steroid dudes in, they better let him in.
True. They should. They should. I agree with you on that.
Because he's got the numbers.
Do you know any about your position, second base, if any should go in?
I don't know. I don't know why Jeff Kent's not in. He definitely has Hall of Fame numbers. I don't know if he's rumors about steroids or he was just a jerk to everybody, which he was.
I heard that.
Oh,
You're not.
Lou Whitaker.
Oh, yep. Yep. Okay. Yeah, that's another one.
Yeah. I think that's probably it off the top of my head for second baseman.
Now, my second question is, you just briefly said it, Frito. What made you said you got that nickname? What made them decide to give you that nickname? How did that come about? Was it because of your name? How that?
Frye and I played winter ball, so one of my teammates, Mike Stanley, called me Fried in Spanish as Frito, and that was it. Before that, my nickname was Fry Daddy. So some of my friends call me Frito, and some call me Fry Daddy. Nobody calls me Jeff.
Okay, Frito. There you go.
That's it.
So now my final question to you is before we get off the air here is I ask this to everybody. If you were a coach, what would you tell the young kids today coaching that want to get into the majors? And the second part is define your career in one word.
Can I do that part first?
Yes.
My career, wow. My career in one word was maybe I'll come back to that. I can't think of the one word right now. But teaching kids, I would just say anything is possible if you're willing to put in the work, and don't let people tell you can't do anything, that you can't accomplish something. If you set your heart and mind to it and outwork everybody, that anything is possible. And my one word for my career would probably be can I say two?
There you go. You can say say
No,
two.
it's actually three words. I don't know if I can come up with one word.
Okay, come with three words.
Beating the odds.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, you are, because not many ball players are your size and made it, especially in that era.
Yeah, I was. Oh, I know what my word is. I found out my word.
Oh, okay. Go ahead, share it.
Determined.
There you go.
I was determined to prove everybody wrong who said I couldn't do it.
There you go. And I gotta ask you though before I go, did you get to collect your first home run ball that you hit in your first hit? Did you get to keep?
I have my first hit. I don't know that I have my first home run. I don't think I did. Those fans aren't always willing to give those balls up.
No, I mean, look at what happened with Albert Pujols. They were lucky that fan was willing to negotiate. Remember that? I think it was.
Well, that ball's a little bit more valuable than the one I hit.
What was it? What was it like? What was it like? His 3,000th hit or something? I don't remember.
It might have been his 600th home run or something.
Something like that. Yeah, and I think he was offered. The fan was offered jerseys and season tickets, and I think he took it or whatever. And and money too, of course.
Yeah,
and money, and he ended up giving it to him. So.
Yeah,
I think you're right. Fans, when it comes to stuff like that, they want the.
Well, especially now because there's a precedent set. Yeah, they know if it's a monumental achievement that these people are going to want that ball, and that they better be willing to fork over something. not a bat. You know? Oh, here's a game used bat. Give me my 600th home run ball. Yeah, fans have gotten smarter. I think Tom Brady, there's a football or something with Tom Brady where somebody
Yep.
threw it in the stands and got it back.
Yeah, his wide receiver. Yeah, his wide receiver that caught the touchdown pass.
Yeah, fans are learning, man. They can monetize this stuff.
Yep. And now the bonus one is, like you said, you played with some of the guys that have kids in the majors now. Do you see the kids surpassing their daddies in the majors, or do you see them being just as good as their dads? And this is the last one before we get off.
I don't know. If you look at the Blue Jays guys, Vladdy Jr. is a star. He's going to have a hard time being better than his dad. Bichette is a star. His dad was a freaking great hitter too. Biggio, I don't know, man. Craig Biggio is a star, Hall of Famer. Two of those guys are Hall of Famers. So, and Bichette was a very good hitter too. So,
Didn't you get to play with Bichette?
no, I didn't. No, he was gone when I got there.
Oh, he was gone.
I think he was. I don't know where he was at the time, but yeah, Larry Walker was the right fielder, and Bichette was not there any longer.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, it's going to be tough, but I think they can have a chance. I know Tatis is definitely going to be better than his daddy. I mean, I watch his daddy, but I mean, his dad
was good, but yeah, I mean, he'll probably be better.
His dad's only known for the 2 grand slams in an inning. That's it. That's all he's known for.
Yeah. Well, Charlie Hayes' son is a pretty good player, but Charlie Hayes was a heck of a player too.
Yeah.
So, you never know if one guy has 1 or 2 good years, and his dad played 14 years in the big league. It's hard to say that he's going to be better.
Another good one.
Another good factors.
Another good one too is Mondesi's kid. He's playing with the Royals right now.
He's not going to be better than his dad.
You don't think?
No chance. No chance.
No chance?
No.
Raul Mondesi?
Raul was a 5-tool power hitting outfielder, and his son's a light hitting shortstop.
Oh, that's true. Different position. That's true. I could see that one. Yeah, that's true. But hey, it was fun. Thank you. I appreciate your time. It was fun. I'll stay in touch. I'll send you the episode. That way you can post it as well when we're done here. But yeah, I'll stay in touch with you. It was fun. Thank you again. And you have a good night. Stay safe out there. All right, Jeff?
All right, buddy. Yeah.
Or shall I say Frito?
Yeah, there you go. Whatever.
All right. You take care. Have a good night. All right.
Okay, man. We'll see you, Byron.
All right. Bye. Jeff Frye, everybody. Good conversation. Great guest. I hope to have him on again. But until then,